She always asks how are you doing, and she really means it, willing to listen to people, but she's a damaged mistake. I felt like a character in a dark, twisted episode of a sci-fi show. Defending my choice to adopt felt like fighting the Borg, like I just wouldn't assimilate. I didn't laugh it off with my sister and her friends. I just stared at her in pure disbelief. I think she knew I was hurt because she quickly changed the subject. I said I better get home, paid for everything in 3 more rounds, and went home to my family. My sister came over the next day to yell at me for leaving and cutting them off after the 3 rounds I paid for. She said I owe her a do-over for ruining the whole weekend because I can't take a joke. Honey, who I of course told what happened, asked my sister to repeat exactly what she said about our daughter. My sister refused, and kept calling Decker Charlie's child, and I just was holding back so many tears. I told my sister that I wouldn't be contributing a dime to her wedding expenses, that I won't stop helping her pay her rent up until she moves in with her husband, but I won't be in or pay for the wedding of a person who sees my child as a mistake. Honestly, I was ready to go full-on Jedi and sever that connection, but honey helped me temper myself. My sister lost it, threw the can of soda water we gave her at me, screamed, "How am I supposed to pay for this?" And I said, "You have over a year, you can save up." So left, showing honey out of the way in the process, and blew up our sibling group chat. My other siblings are split. Some think I'm overreacting by cutting off funds for the wedding, while others agree that my sister crossed a line and needed the wake-up call. Now, I feel bad for my sister. I do love her and she is distressed by this, but I can't shake the feeling that standing up for my daughter is more important. Update. Next day, honey and I took Decker out to the local Oktoberfest celebrations. She had a blast, did crafts, danced to music, had beer, it was not beer, in a pint glass, and generally had a great time. On the ride home, my wife broached the long-awaited topic. We asked her how she felt about Grandma's passing, then went into how everyone handles things differently. We asked if Mama, me, or Mommy, honey, ever was hurtful, and she named a couple of moments we've been snappy or wouldn't let her do things, like a party at 2 a.m. But no, nothing else. We asked about Clara and she got quiet. Honey just looked at me, but I was driving, so I just said, "You can tell us anything, Goober, you know that," and she clammed up. I got my girls home and hugged my heart/Decker and went to the den. About 2 hours later, my wife came downstairs to me and said Decker was in bed but not asleep and I should talk to her. I asked why, and she simply said that Decker is willing to talk about it. I went up. Decker was ready for bed, in her PJs, reading. I just sat down on the side of the bed and asked her how she was. She just said, "Mom told you, huh?" I told her I didn't know anything, and Decker then said that Clara makes her uncomfortable and said hurtful things. When my wife and I weren't around, Clara would call her the lost puppy or the stray, and once Decker remembers her to have told her to her face, "You're not real family, and that once honey and I get a real child, we will dump her." I can't explain the rage. The absolute, total, and complete red I saw as my daughter broke down, telling me that she behaves so well and is so obsessed with grades so she can prove she is worth loving, worth keeping. After calling my wife, we sat her down and told her that she is the best thing that ever happened to us, and that even if we do have more children, she is our firstborn and our love. I cried and held her, telling her she was my whole heart and that nothing will ever change that. She saved us, and I am so proud of her and us and all we've grown to become. I can't ever stop loving her. Neither can her mom. We love her more than air. That will never change. Then I explained that Auntie was wrong about this. Auntie is jealous of her, jealous of how much we love her. Auntie needs help, but we can't give that help, so she won't be around for a while. Decker asked us to stop talking to her like a child, so I was blunt. She's my sister and I love her. You're my daughter and I love you more. I told her my sister was wrong and hateful. I'm sorry that she didn't feel she could come to her mom or I, but she can, every time, anytime. We will choose her, always. Decker asked me if it's her fault I hate Clara, and I just told her hate is a choice and I don't hate Clara. I do love her, but sometimes loving a person means you correct them. Actions have consequences. My daughter got quiet and handed me her phone, and Clara had been texting her awful things since she left my home. I can't even type them because I want to throw things, but it's when I read my effing sister texting my teenage daughter, "Go tell your so-called mom like a snitch and prove me right." I took a screenshot and texted it to myself. Decker fell asleep around midnight and my wife and I went to bed. I texted my sister the screenshot and said, "You come into my home as my sister and treat my child like this? No. Mom and Dad would be ashamed of you. This is not how you treat any child, let alone your own niece. I have loved you for as long as I can remember. I know you were not raised to treat children so terribly, but as of now, you are not accepted in my home. You will not speak to or contact me, my wife, or my child. I will give you the money for October, Clara, but November on, that's your responsibility. I am no longer going to help. I'm sorry. This breaks my heart, but you crossed a serious and unforgivable line. Decker is my daughter. I am her mom. Do not doubt me here, and I want to be clear. If you ever come sideways at my family again, or contact my daughter at all, I will take legal recourse. From today on, we are in low contact. If you try to make this into a bigger issue, it will be no contact. If you don't understand, here are resources to help spell it out. I love you, D." Final update. My sister called my child a damaged mistake and told her that she is not real family, so I gave her a wake-up call by cutting off funds for her wedding. 3 days after first update, I didn't have a moment to cool down and wait until today to give myself a chance to make a level-headed decision regarding my sister. Clara has spun the tale that I am jealous she found a loving man and am withholding mom and dad's money from her. She gave the perception that I was the one abusing Decker, putting her down, and telling her she wasn't my real daughter. That shut down when I sent my text a couple of days ago. Yesterday, Clara was on my doorstep. She was crying and begging for me to let her in, but my wife and her friends were inside and I made it clear I don't want her near my family as she emotionally abused my daughter and physically harmed my wife. I told her to leave or I would call the police to have her removed. I was going to call the police anyway because I told her never to come to our home again, and there she was. There's a reason I said this in text, so I could, in an event like this, show them clear as day that she would know she is welcome. Clara started to beg, saying she would apologize to Decker and she was drunk and upset and made mistakes. I could tell she was drunk, or high, or something. I told her it's not a simple mistake to bully a traumatized teen girl and make her feel unloved and unwanted by her own family, and to text her that she is worthless and expendable. What the F? I got angry and just started to raise my voice. I don't know when I started to yell, but I did. I just lost it. She's a cold-hearted, awful, self-serving brat, spoiled beyond belief to being so delusional that this all would just go away, that she's entitled to the money my wife and I make, that our parents gave us after all she did. She needs effing help and I am done being the giving tree here. You don't ever hurt my child. She's lucky I have a head to keep my hands to me, and luckier still Honey isn't out here because she certainly would not, so go the F home. Clara slapped me across the face and called me a bitch and a traitor, so I choose that demon spawn of a child over her. I love Decker more than my own real family and turn my back on her this way. Honey must have been right by the door because before I could make a very bad choice she had yanked me inside, told my sister that she had 60 seconds to F off, and slammed the door closed. Clara left quickly, but we still called the police and handed over the footage from our property cameras of what happened, as well as the text from our phones. Clara went ballistic over text telling me awful things, ending with her hoping I'd take my own life and she would celebrate. Absolutely unhinged awful poop like that. I blocked her, sent every piece of footage in a Google Drive and dropped the link in the sibling group chat, and sent it to Kevin, her fiancé. I then sat down and cried myself into a fit before Decker came home from practice. I put on my mom face for her and made sure she did her homework. Then I went to the den and called my aunt, Decker's biological grandmother, and told her what happened. My aunt told me that Clara is renewing her conspiracy that I harming Decker and that I need to be careful because she suspects Clara is having some sort of mental break and might do something crazy. Honey and I have spent this whole day working on a request for a protective order from her, making sure Decker's school knows no one is to pick her up but us, and get a lawyer because I think legal action is needed here. I told my eldest of the brothers that Clara needed help and asked if he could check on her because she might be as much a danger to herself as she is now presenting to me and my family. He got quiet and said, "Can't you handle this?" and said this drama was too much and he was busy. I was so stunned I just blurted out, "Are you effing kidding me right now?" before I just hung up. My other sister is now over, helping me deal with this. My other brother has gone to see after Clara, but says he will only make sure she hasn't hurt herself, but beyond that, she can get wrecked for what she's done. Kevin called me and said he went through Google Drive and begged me not to call the police on Clara. He said that she has been having a really bad time, has struggled with drinking, and has been stealing his medications, and he's trying to get her help. But if she gets arrested, he doesn't have the funds for bail or any legal help. I told him it's too late. The police have been called and he needs to get her into some sort of rehab or something. He asked for our help to pay for a facility he was thinking of, and I told him to keep her away from me and my family. He started to cry and told me I was an awful sister, that I don't care about Clara and her struggles, and that she's just lost and he's underwater trying to keep her from going off a deep end. I didn't reply after that and have just been sitting around the house waiting for the police to call back, trying to get my crying out of the way before Decker comes home from school. I feel wretched and terrible because no matter what I do now, it will just never feel right. I was to look after them all and now my sister is this lunatic hellbent on burning my life down, and my brother is alarmingly just indifferent to it all. I am used to being the one who holds the family together and handles things, but I don't feel like I can handle anything anymore. What the F is my life?